In the recent past, there has been a flurry of Western diplomatic visits to India. The United States Deputy National Security Advisor visited India. The Foreign Minister of Britain, the Russian Foreign Minister, interestingly the Chinese Foreign Minister. So many others are coming to India, and there is in fact virtual summit meeting between Prime Minister Modi and Australian Prime Minister, Japan. Like this, there is a flurry of Western diplomats and even Russian Foreign Minister visiting India. So the West in the recent past have been raising three pertinent questions about India's stand on the Russian war on Ukraine. The first question they are raising is, well, Russia has invaded a smaller neighbor like Ukraine. It is a territorial aggression. It undermines the sovereignty and territorial integrity of an independent nation. Why is India not ready to take the economic pain and political courage, demonstrate political courage and condemn Russia? Person no less than President Biden expressed this sentiment, and many others have been expressing sentiment. But is India really scared of condemning Russia? Absolutely not. So the West should first answer, is this the first time that the sovereignty of a nation or territorial integrity of a nation is undermined? What were the earlier instances? Take the history. Which country is responsible for the maximum number of violations of national sovereignty? It is United States, undoubtedly. What happened to this logic when US invaded Iraq, when US invaded Libya, when US invaded Afghanistan, when US intervened in Syria, when US tried to intervene in Venezuela, when US attacked Panama, Grenada, when Britain attacked Argentina for Falklands? So what are you talking about? Did the West any time respect the national sovereignty? In fact, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization led by United States in its new doctrine has openly said that NATO will not respect the sovereignty and territorial integrity under following conditions. They have openly said, to prevent human genocide, to protect human rights, to curb terrorism, to dismantle weapons of mass destruction, we will not even respect the national borders. Well, these are the things which are used as an alibi to attack sovereign countries. US attacked Iraq on the pretext that Saddam Hussein regime was harboring weapons of mass destruction. Till now, America has not provided any evidence to this effect. So when the West violates the national sovereignty, it becomes legitimate. When some other country does it, it becomes illegitimate. So wherever this question of territorial aggression, when the American NATO attacked Yugoslavia, dismembered Yugoslavia, dismembered Serbia, created Croatia. So where are these ideals of respect for sovereignty, respect for territorial integrity? Well, it is not a question of legitimacy and illegitimacy. It is essentially a question of geopolitics. India needs Russia not just for defense supplies. India needs a neutral Russia, at least neutral Russia, for its strategic interest in the Indo-Pacific. So this Asian region is already hostile to India, is increasingly becoming hostile to India. So do we need another powerful nation like Russia to be hostile to us? So when the West does it, it is geopolitics. When India does it, it is immorality. What kind of hypocrisy is it? So this is the first thing. Then the second thing is, well, the United States is advancing that this conflict is a conflict between a non-democracy like Russia and a democracy like Ukraine. So the West tries to project this as a fight between two democracies, two countries. One is democracy, the other is non-democracy, and ask India to stand by democracy. Well, the West need not teach lessons in democracy to India. So look at the friendly nations of United States. Saudi Arabia, is it a democratic country? So the United Arab Emirates, is it is it democracy? So where is democracy? Show me one country which is really truly democratic in Asia and Africa and Latin America, which America has always supported. So the fundamental question here is not the democracy or non-democracy. The fundamental question here is the strategic interest. America has been supporting Pakistan to the hilt. Is Pakistan a democracy? United States facilitated Taliban takeover of Afghanistan, undermining the elected government of Ashraf Ghani. Where is the logic of democracy versus non-democracy? Well, the third question which the West is asking is, in case if China attacks India, will Russia come to your rescue? Well, it's a right question, but India has not taken the stand on the Russian war in Ukraine with the hope that Russia will come to its rescue if China attacks. So did India say this? So the question here is, will the West, will the America come to India's rescue if China attacks India? So let's take the recent example. In the Galwan Valley, when China intruded into India, what did America do? What did Europe do? They just condemned and kept quiet. Did they impose any sanctions? Did America or any European power move a resolution against China in the United Nations? So now they are not even ready to come to the rescue of Ukraine. How can India expect that US or the West will come to its rescue if China attacks us? Well, neither America nor Russia will come to the rescue. India has to deal with its hostile neighbors based on its own strength. India cannot depend either on the United States or on Russia to deal with the China. Well, this is a very important lesson from the Ukraine war for India. India was already sucked into US-led alliance called Quad along with Japan and Australia. Well, Quad is clearly aimed at encirclement of China, and China has already expressed serious concern over India joining Quad. So, if there is a conflict between China, we cannot expect America or the West to support us, and this is an experience of Ukraine. What is Ukraine doing? Ukraine is repeatedly asking for NATO assistance. But is America doing anything to stop war? Is America doing anything to deter Russia from attacking Ukraine? Or has America done anything to deter Russia from attacking Ukraine? So Ukraine is now made to suffer for its own hostile position vis-a-vis Russia, hoping that US and the NATO allies will come to its rescue. That's the biggest strategic blunder committed by President Zelensky. Today Zelensky is asking two things. He is asking for NATO troops. He is asking for declaring Ukraine as a no-fly zone. Well, what was America's response? America clearly stated that it doesn't want to do anything that amounts to a direct military conflict with Russia. So this is what the President Biden has said, that the US and the NATO are not inclined to enter into any direct military, face-to-face military confrontation with Russia. And even when Poland offered to provide its Soviet-era MiG fighter planes free of cost to Ukraine through NATO, United States rejected the Poland's offer and discouraged Poland from doing anything like that. Then where is the question of America coming to the rescue of China in India? When US and the West refused to join the war in support of Ukraine, when US and its NATO allies refused to enter into any direct military confrontation with Russia, either to save Ukraine, can we expect them to come to fight on behalf of India with China? So therefore this question is also hypocritical. India can neither expect Russia nor US to come to its rescue when China attacks us. Well, India has to deal based on its own strength. So this is really the foreign policy lesson from the ongoing conflict on Ukraine. And there is another interesting thing. We have not taken this position on Ukraine war with the hope that Russia will come to our rescue if there is a Sino-Indian conflict. The only thing is we already have enough people to deal with in this region. In the Asian region, we have a trouble with China, we have trouble with Pakistan, we have trouble with Afghanistan. In this kind of an environment, should India invite yet another unfriendly nation? It is already a deeply unfriendly region. In a deeply unfriendly region, Indian strategic interest will be at stake if it invites another unfriendly country, that too a country of Russian stature. And in the Central Asia, with which India has historical relations, Russia has a lot of diplomatic influence over it. So if India takes a position hostile to Russia, this will only expand already unfriendly region in Asia. So this is our backyard. We don't want to get into trouble in our own backyard for taking a position on a war fought very far from India's geography. So therefore, the three arguments of the West are essentially hypocritic, demonstrate the double standards of United States and its Western allies.